Here's the tools you're going to need to fix the mixer tap. You're going to need a grease rag, and also not shown here is a pair of multi-grip pliers. It's a good idea to insert the plug into the basin so you don't lose any small parts. Now you can use a small screwdriver to remove this plastic plug, or a pair of pliers if you prefer. Now at this point you need to isolate your water supply, and to access the grub screw you lift the tap up and access it through the hole that the plastic plug came out of. Now in this case it's an Allen screw. In some cases it could be just a normal screw, and the tap comes off simply by pulling it up. Just be careful at this point that you don't lose the grub screw, because it's in this case it fell down inside the tap, and I'm just removing it here as shown. Now, as you can see here, this is the tap cartridge, and there's a chrome collar here. I was able to remove it by hand. Now you can use an oil filter strap, preferably a rubber one or a fabric one that's not going to mark the chrome. If you like, you can spray WD-40 down inside the housing before you remove this collar and let it soak for 10 minutes. And it's always good practice to use a shifting wrench in the direction shown in the picture, as this prevents damage to the shifting wrench. So you just need to remove this nut which holds the tap cartridge in place. Now it's quite common for limescale or corrosion to build up, so it's a good idea to get a wire brush or take it out to a wire wheel and give it a good clean up before you reinstall it. Now in my case the tap wasn't leaking, it was only that the lever was stiff to move up and down, turn on and off. So I wanted to inspect it and see what was the issue, and what I found out was that the retaining nut was screwed down too tight. So in theory this tap cartridge should just pull out by hand, but in my case I had to use a pair of multi-grip pliers, and in the process I actually damaged the plastic casing, but it wasn't an issue, as once it was all in place and the retaining nut was screwed down, there was going to be no issues of any leaks or anything, so it was fine to reinstall. So here's some images of the tap cartridge removed. You can see it's got a O-ring around the outside. There was also two small O-rings that were down inside the tap housing that didn't come out, so I just left them in place. And those two O-rings just mated up with the base of the cartridge, as you could see in the previous picture. Now if you want to see a quick video of the tap cartridge disassembled, just watch at the end of this clip. Now before reinstalling, it's a good idea to apply some tap lubricant or even some petroleum jelly to the threads, just to make it easier next time you want to remove it, and also to prevent a bit of corrosion. Now a good tip to prevent the nut from getting cross-threaded is just to apply light pressure and turn the nut backwards, and you'll hear it click into place. And that tells you that it's all lined up, it's not going to be cross-threaded. Now at this point, yeah, just put the tap lever on, just give it a test. And then yeah, just do up the retaining nut. This is probably not going to need a whole lot of pressure. I actually over tightened it here, so it was still a bit stiff. So I just backed it off and retensioned it with less pressure. You only need enough pressure just so that it's not leaking. If you want a bit more insight on how the tap works, just watch at the end of the video where I disassemble the tap cartridge. Now at this point you can reinstall the grub screw, or if you prefer, turn the water on and make sure you've got no leaks. But then you're going to need to isolate the supply again to insert the grub screw, as the lever needs to be up to reinstall it. As you can see here, I just gave it a good clean down just so I could make sure that it wasn't leaking. And again, I just applied some more lubricant just to prevent a bit of corrosion and limescale build-up. Same thing for the chrome collar, and again this doesn't need to be tight, it only really needs to be finger tight. Now I did find it quite fiddly to get the grub screw back in place. I did manage to get it on the first try with the help of this light, but yeah, I just had to be real patient, because if you can lose the grub screw down into the tap again, which is not really an issue. You just lift the tap off and try again. So here's the footage of the disassembly of the tap cartridge. You can see it's got a O-ring around the outside. So this yellow part here is a slippery coating that enables two parts of the mechanism to slide together to work the tap. Thanks for watching. I hope this video has helped you. Please like or subscribe if you enjoyed it or you want to see more videos.